everybody, welcome to my channel. My name is Kaylee. I am an online reseller of men and women's clothing and shoes. Typically, I pick up items from thrift stores and I resell them on eBay and Poshmark. Now, my main platform is eBay. Poshmark is actually fairly new to me. I started on Poshmark last year, at the beginning of 2019, and have since learned a lot about what it takes to make sales on Poshmark. Today we are going to talk about sharing on Poshmark, why we need to share, what sharing is, the different types of sharing, and then I'll give you at the end some tips and tricks to boost your sales using sharing. So first, let's talk about what sharing is. So if you're brand new to Poshmark, this is a new concept to you. If you're not brand new, this will only take a second. But basically, sharing is clicking a button on your listing to share onto the Poshmark feed. So Poshmark acts as like a social media platform. And when you're on social media, let's say you're on Facebook, the first things that you're seeing on your feed are going to be things that people have most recently posted and that are relevant to you. Poshmark works in the same way, so in order for you to get your items to the top of the feed, they need to be most recently shared. If you think about it, if you have listed an item 5 months ago, then typically when people are searching for that item or they are just browsing through the Poshmark feed, you're just not going to be the first one that pops up because you listed it 5 months ago and there hasn't been any activity since then. So what sharing does is it puts your item back at the top of the feed and allows for buyers to see it more quickly than those that have not been shared. When people search for an item, Poshmark automatically defaults to most recently shared. Now you can change the setting on the filters, but let's be realistic here. Most people probably aren't going to change that setting. So most people's defaults are most recently shared. This means that you need to keep your item at the top of the feed in order for it to be seen and ultimately for it to be purchased. So that is the what and why of sharing. Now let's talk about the different types of sharing. So there are many different types of sharing. The most important one are self-shares, meaning you are sharing your item. Self-shares, in my opinion, are above all else something that you need to do every day, and the rest of these shares can wait. You definitely, in my opinion, need to self-share before you do any other kinds of shares. In these different self-shares, you can share items to your followers, which is the main way that people share their items. If you are new to Poshmark, you might not have many followers, but as you continue to share your items and list new items, you will gain followers organically. That's not something I would necessarily worry about. Just know that the main way you need to share your items is sharing to your followers. Some other ways that you can self-share are by sharing to other platforms and other forms of social media. There are a couple different accounts that you can link to your Poshmark account that you can share through. However, I find if I'm trying to sell my items, the only one I'm really concerned about is Pinterest. People that are going on Pinterest are looking for fashion items and different ways to style outfits. So in my opinion, that is going to be the best option for you if you want to share onto other platforms. You can do this by hitting the share button, and then if you look towards the bottom of the screen, you have several different options to share on different social media outlets. Next, let's talk about party shares. So this would be sharing your own items into a party that Poshmark has going on at the moment. So when Poshmark has a party, typically people that get on the app are first going to see the items being shared in the party. They do these at random times throughout the day, and you have the opportunity to share your items into those categories if they fit. So let's say that Poshmark is having a jewelry and accessories party. You could share all of your necklaces, bracelets, earrings, things like that into the party, but you could not share things like sweaters and jeans. Sharing to a party is a great way to get people that aren't your followers having eyes on your items, and then they may potentially follow you. It's not really something that I worry about too much, but if I am on the app and I'm already doing self-shares to my followers and I see that there is a party going on, I will then share those categories to that party. Now, when I first started sharing to parties, I used to scroll through my entire closet to share things that were of that category. Now I realize that I can just go to filters and filter by that category and then just share everything in my jewelry category. Just a tip to save you some time. And lastly, are community shares. Community shares are sharing items of other Poshmarkers from their closets into the feed. So the idea of doing this is, one, just to be nice, but two, hoping to get a share back. So if you are sharing somebody's closet or items in their closet, they may notice that and they may go into your closet and share your items. The benefit of that would be you would get, just like the party feeds, new eyes on your items and potential follows. People that aren't currently your followers may be able to see your items because somebody shared it to their followers, and those followers are now seeing your items. Now, just because you share somebody's item does not mean that they have to or that they will come back and share your item. That's why self-sharing is the most important one and the only real guaranteed way to make sales and to have your item show up at the top of the feed. A lot of people like to use targeted community shares by searching for items that are similar to the ones that you have and then sharing items from those closets in hopes that those followers will have the same taste that your followers do. So for instance, let's say that you have a really boho vibe in your store, you sell a lot of Free People, Anthropology. What you could do is you could search for Free People or Anthropology. When you find those listings, you can go on to the closets that are having those listings and you can share from that closet in hopes that they will share your items back. Typically, if they also have items like that in their store, then their followers are going to be similar to yours in taste. And then if they do share your item back, they are sharing them to their followers, and so you are getting more of a targeted approach that way. So there are many, many different ways to share. Again, the most important, I think, is self-sharing. Sharing can be a really time-consuming task, especially the more items that you start to list in your closet, the more time it's going to take to share all of those items. Most people recommend sharing your closet at least twice a day. I currently have between 400 and 500 listings in my store, and it takes me to do a whole total closet share roughly about 15 minutes. So if I share my closet twice a day, I am spending roughly 30 minutes just to share my items, and that's only sharing twice. And since it is so time consuming, let's make sure to do it during the most effective times when we are going to get the most eyes on our items. Now, I am not an expert and I don't claim to be, but I can say that I've done a lot of research into what the best times of the day are to share items. And here's what I found: 9 a.m., 1 p.m., 5 p.m., and 9 p.m. So here's why. 9 a.m., people are waking up, they might not be at work, or there might be stay-at-home moms that are browsing the closet. Most people are awake by then, and honestly, it just kind of gets your closet rolling for the day. 1 p.m., people are towards the end of their lunch break. They may have time at work, or again, maybe they're staying at home and they are just browsing while they're having lunch. 5 p.m., most people are getting off of work between the hours of 5 and 6. This is a really good time to share because a lot of people are going to be starting to get home and wind down. 9 p.m., right about the time people go to bed, they are still winding down. They're probably browsing the internet. This is also a good time to share. Now, again, we said 2 times a day is probably the bare minimum you want to share your closet. I just mentioned 4 times that you could share and be most effective. Now, again, I said it takes me about 15 minutes to share my whole closet. If I was to share my entire closet 4 times a day, that's going to spend an hour of my day just sharing. Necessary? Yes. Time consuming? Yes. There's a lot of other things that I'd like to do within an hour to help my Poshmark business, and sharing is honestly not a great task for me. So one tip I will leave you with is to let you know that there are different ways you can receive help to have other people share your closet for you. Now you do have to pay for these employees to share your closet, but I think that it is totally worth it if I'm not having to do it myself. When I first started Poshmark, I didn't know that this was an option, so that's why I'm telling you now. But there are several different websites that you can use to hire a VA that will go in and share your Poshmark closet for you, and some of them also do community shares. Now you can go through these websites that specifically offer VAs for sharing, or you could even go on to different websites that would allow you to hire a VA for anything and then just use them for sharing. I have had a lot of good success with Reseller Assistant. I've been using them for a couple weeks, and I will probably do a video a little bit more in depth about them, but I really like them and I think that they are so affordable for what they're giving you. If you'd like to check them out, I will put a link in the description bar down below. Now, I'm not saying if this is your first week on Poshmark that you should be going and hiring a sharing assistant, but what I am saying is when you get to the point where you have enough listings that you start to feel overwhelmed and you're not getting your sharing done every day, then I would definitely look into hiring one of these VAs to share your Poshmark closet for you. They're going to keep it more consistent, and inevitably you're going to have more consistent sales. So yes, you're spending the money to have them share, but you're getting money back in return from more sales. If you are just starting out and you only have a few hundred items in your closet, I wouldn't say it's worth it to hire a VA. I would spend the few minutes a day to share your closet on your own. And again, I would recommend starting on only self-sharing. So those are all the different ways that you can share, why we need to share, and then a couple of tips for you. If you have any questions, you can drop them in the comments down below. I hope you guys enjoyed watching. Thank you so much for being here, and I will talk to you guys next time.